Hey everybody, John here from All Miniatures Great and Small, and today we're going to be unboxing and taking a look at Warhammer the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness box set. I'm kind of excited for this one. I have been, I guess you could say, somewhat disappointed with Warhammer 40k of late. 9th edition just lately has not been doing it for me. There's a lot of rules bloat, but this is not a 40k complaint video, but I am a fan of the Horus Heresy, and I liked playing it back in 7th edition, and I've always liked that time period going all the way back to the original Space Marine game, if you guys remember that, the epic game, which was set in the Horus Heresy time frame, as well as Adeptus Titanicus, old game and new. So there's a lot of things that take place in 30k, and 30k has been around for a long time. So this is basically a reboot or second edition of Warhammer 30k, and this is the quote-unquote starter box for that. Now, I'll let you know that I did purchase this with my own money, so this is not a freebie that Games Workshop sent me, so I'm not beholden to them to tout the company line, but I give you my impression. But anyway, let's take a look. This box set retails for $300 US, which sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. You can find it cheaper at various online realtors, but it has a lot of stuff in it. And once we take a look at that, you might see that that 300 might be justified if you have, if you can afford it. So we have artwork here. I think these are the Sons of Horus on the cover, and you'll notice the Beaky Marines, the Mark 6 Marines, which personally are my favorite mark of Marine. I've always liked them best because I'm an old school guy from Rogue Trader and that original box set with the Marines. I still have a couple of those models from my first box around. This box is absolutely heavy, but let's flip it over and check out the contents. So this box contains a hardback rulebook, 2 rules reference sheets, 26-sided dice, and a scatter die. And the scatter die is back because this is based on basically an enhanced version of 7th edition rather than 8th or 9th edition. Templates, measuring sticks, and transfer sheet. It also includes 54 Citadel miniatures, 2 Legion Praetors, 40 Tactical Marines in Mark 6 power armor, 10 Cataphracti Terminators, 1 Contemptor Dreadnought, and 1 Spartan Assault Tank. So you can see we've got the Sons of Horus and the, what are these guys, Imperial Fists? And the, on the box as the painted examples, which is pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead and open this up. So I have kept up with 30k. Games Workshop had a few standalone boxed games, which in a lot of ways were just a miniature delivery system. You may remember Betrayal at Calth, and the follow-up to that game was The Burning of Prospero. And both of those had tons of miniatures in them, but nothing on this scale. But those games did have their own kind of board game that was not 30k or 40k. But I think I played Betrayal at Calth, the game, once or twice, and I don't think I ever played the Burning at Prospero game. But this is actually 30k proper. And, wait for it. And as it opens up, you're hit by that wave of plastic crack that comes out. Alright, for anyone who is a old-time 40k player, these little plastic range rulers are great. They are great for whacking your friends, and I don't think I've ever measured a thing with these in my life, but you certainly can. And we have the template, this time in a nice orange, which is cool. And we have plastic, so much plastic, oh my gosh. I'm going to go ahead and set these to the side. That looks like Cataphracti Terminator stuff there. Weapons bits. Looks like we have maybe one of the Praetors there. We'll take a closer look at these frames in a little bit as we kind of work through it. I see some tank bits. This looks like the Spartan tank. And this is the first time the Spartan tank has been in plastic, which is pretty awesome. The Spartan's like an overgrown Land Raider, which was already a pretty big tank. And then this looks like the Mark 6 sprues. You get 40 Marines, which is a ton of Marines. This looks like the Dreadnought, and then this last frame, or 2 frames, is the more Land Raider bits, it looks like. Which is pretty cool. Then you have this nice filler. This protects the plastic from the rest of the contents, or the rest of the contents from the plastic. There's a little piece broken off from the template sprue, but they keep it covered, and that keeps it from digging into your rulebook and damaging it. At the back here we have some examples of other things in the range. I love the look of the Spartan or Sikaran tank, and this is the new Kratos. I did order one of those as well. I'll be doing a separate unboxing for those, and it shows the old Rhino version. I have some Forge World conversions of that, which is pretty cool. So there you go, that's the filler. Then you have this almost 400 page rule book. This is where the majority of the weight comes from, the massive thing. We'll open that up and take a look as well. Then you've got the assembly. Looks like it's everything. Oh, and the rules. So these are like the units that you get in the box. We have the filler, and we've got Legion Astartes Age of Darkness transfer sheet with the Sons of Horus and the Imperial Fists. I won't be doing any one of those legions, so that's kind of useless. So we have the bases, the stand for the Dreadnought, and the dice, which will just go into the dice box. And we have, again, the return of the scatter die and blast templates, which personally I always thought was kind of fun. But there you go. So that's the contents of the box. Let's take a little bit closer look at the frames and see what we get. All right, before we look at the models, though, I want to take a look at the rule book. Just a massive, lovely rule book. You know, Games Workshop makes a great rule book. Say what you want about the rules themselves, but the quality is outstanding. They are pricey. They are very expensive, but when it's part of a starter box like this, it's a much easier, thing to swallow as far as the cost. So the Age of Darkness rulebook, you've got, again, the box art, which is very cool. Gotta like those Mark 6 Marines. It also had in the wrapping for the book, it had the reference sheets as well as a Horus Heresy Primarch book series ad. So it's just an ad for the Horus Heresy series. All right, so this thing is just massive. So let's look at the contents. So we have the Age of Darkness. The core rules start on 146 and they go to 191. So the actual rules themselves are about, what's that, about 35 pages or so. Then it has characters, psychic powers, vehicles, battlefield terrain, special rules. So it does have like more advanced rules too, but it looks like the basic rules: the turn, reactions, movement, shooting, and assault, morale. That's all in a pretty small area. That starts on, what do we say, page 146. But looking through, I mean, great artwork. The fluff is always fantastic in this game. 146. So the core rules start here. And they go to about right there. So that's your actual rule book of your core rules. which is nice. And then you've got additional information, unit types and characters, vehicles. You know, when 8th edition came out, they treated vehicles like creatures. They just had a number of wounds. They got rid of facings, like armor facings, like shooting a tank in the back is, you have a much better chance of penetrating it than shooting it in the front. And the firing arc of the weapons that are mounted on it mattered in 30K and 7th edition. 8th and 9th took that away, so you know your tank just drove up and it kind of shot every weapon at any target at any time without having to, you know, spin. So I imagine those tanks are just spinning in circles, firing everything. And it just kind of lost something in 8th edition and 9th edition. And I think in 30K especially, it's cool to have that bank back because you can often see a lot of vehicles in here. 30K games are typically played a little bit higher point level because you could be paying, you know, almost 500 points for a Primarch if you wanted him in battle, which is cool. All right, sorry, I said this wasn't going to be ragging on 9th edition 40K, so I apologize. But the rulebook looks really nice. I'm looking at, and then they have examples of painted miniatures, which are just gorgeous. Some really nice stuff. So what's fun is, though, this is just the rule book, so it doesn't have army lists or anything like that. They have 2 separate books, the Liber Astartes, and then there's the Chaos one. I only picked up the Loyalist Legion, Space Marine Legion book because I'm an Ultramarine player, but we'll be taking a look at that at some time. But that book's almost as thick as this book, so there is quite a lot of fluff and pictures and all that stuff to get you immersed into the 30K kind of realm. That plus there are some good books. I do like the Black Library. I have some 30K novels that I just love, and some 30K novels are just terrible. But there are some good ones in the range, and it's a great way again to get in to the game. I do like this because you guys probably know I'm a historical gamer, and again 30K is like the historical version of 40K, and I kind of like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so we've got that. Let's take a look at a little bit closer look at the assembly guide. We've got the Praetor assembly guide, the Mark 6 assembly, the Cataphracti Terminators. So I believe that the first 2 things we looked at, the Praetor models and the Mark 6, those are brand new. I think these Cataphracti, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, are the same models that came in the Betrayal of Calth box set, which they're pretty awesome models, but I don't think they're new. And if they are retooling, they look pretty much exactly the same. But, you know, you can take them with Power Claws, and Storm Bolters, all kinds of good stuff. Then we have the Contemptor Dreadnought assembly. This is a plastic one. Looks a little bit more posable than the one that came in the Betrayal of Calth box. That one was kind of like almost monopose. I'm curious once this is assembled how that will compare, you know, if we'll actually be able to tell the difference. But I seem to remember from Warhammer Community that the weapons are interchangeable, and they will have a box of just additional weapons you can buy if you want to kind of hot swap those guns out on this guy. Then you have the Land Raider assembly, the Spartan. I always like the Spartan. It has 8 las cannons, which is just crazy. 4 on each sponson. And I forget on the hull if you can take more las cannons or not. But the assembly guide, it doesn't look too crazy. I mean, you're building a tank. I don't know what the Spartan's going to cost by itself, but probably around 100 US, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure. but it's really cool that you get a large tank like this. I think this is the first box set that I've seen for Warhammer 30k or 40k that's had a large vehicle. Usually it's a dreadnought. I remember one box set seemed to have a land speeder. Does that sound right to you guys? You can twist on or off the las cannons on the side, looks like. So more Land Raider instructions. Pintel mounted Havoc launcher or multi-melt combi weapon. You can open the hatch, close the hatch. It has a gunner. Very cool stuff. Then you have the Legion Astartes rules. This section are a set of army list entries for the various units and vehicles included in the Horus Heresy box set. So basically a way you can play 30k without needing the other books in the series, the Liber Astartes, for example. You can play with the units that are in this box, and you've got their stats here, which is nice. You got the Praetor with Axe, Cataphracti Terminators, 250 points, Contemptor Dreadnought, Tactical Squads, 100 points, Land Raider Spartans, 350 points. You know, all of these usually have their upgrade options here. Then you have the Armory, which has the weapons and all the weapon stats. The war gear, so it's pretty thorough. And then the decal placement, which for me doesn't really matter because I'm not doing those legions. I do still have my Forge World decal sheet for the 30k Ultramarines, which I really like. So that's the booklet and introduction army list. Okay, now let's take a little bit closer look at some of the models. I don't think I'm going to show you all of the frames, but I will tell you here at the beginning, I will assemble some of the models, probably some Mark 6s, and show you some comparison with other Mark 6 armors that I have in my collection. Forge World ones, as well as 40k ones, maybe some old metal ones if I can find them. But anyway, that you can look forward to after we take a look at some of this plastic. But I do want to look at some of the plastic. So this is, these are the Praetors, and you can see Games Workshop really is doing a lot with the detail. These guys are awesome. For me, it's always a fine line between too much detail or not enough detail on the Marines. I like my Marines more kind of a blank slate rather than super ornate, because it takes a lot longer to paint them that way, and I just like the cleaner look. But this guy looks, you know, looks pretty good. And then this is, I think this is the different guy because he's got the sword there. I don't see the chest piece, so maybe there's another frame. Oh, there's the chest piece on that one. And oh, maybe there's another frame for this guy. Oh, there's the chest piece. All right. So, but very nice detail. I never really can complain about the quality of Games Workshop miniatures. They are exceptional and kind of leaders in the industry. This set is no different. I mean, look at that sword. That's just cool. Okay, this is the Mark 6 Marine frame, and truth be told, this is one of the primary reasons why I got this box, is because of the Mark 6 Marines. The previous 30k boxes, the Betrayal at Calth box set, had Mark 4 Marines, which look pretty cool, and the Burning at Prospero had Mark 3 Marines, which also look really cool. So I do have those, and I do have a lot of infantry painted up as 30k Ultramarines. I could probably survive without any of these Mark 6s, but I really like the Mark 6s. And you'll notice that these guys look kind of large. So again, we're going to assemble them and take a look at that. But I do know that just from looking at other blog posts, other videos, that these are somewhat larger than normal 40K like Tactical Marines or the previous 30K models, but they're not Primaris sized. So they are a little bit bigger. So we'll put them together again and do a little comparison at the end, so you guys can judge for yourself. What's interesting too is you'll notice that the shoulder pads with the studs are in half. So you glue them together, which in one sense is annoying because it's two pieces you have to glue together for each Marine, but they're probably doing it for these studs and the way that the mold pulls apart. If I had to guess, I would say that's why, so that I know the studs look kind of wonky on the side of the 40K Mark 6 guy, and just because of how it had to come out of the mold. But anyway, you can see some of that great detail. Looks like they have a nod to the old box set with the chainsaw bayonet that you can put on your bolter. That's right, these guys carry bolters, not bolt rifles. And then there is this frame, which I assume is kind of an upgrade frame for the Tactical Marines. It's got knives like bayonets, pistols, like a sergeant or officer's crest, a sword, power claw. So I guess this is one way you can customize or trick out your sergeants in your squads, or just use them however you want. You know, give every tactical guy a pistol on his belt and a bayonet on his bolter. That'd be pretty cool. There's a couple of frames of that. Next up, the Land Raider Spartan frames. The kit looks really nice. I'm looking forward to building this. I built the Forge World one, and that kit was, if I remember, a little challenging. So to have this in plastic is pretty nice. We can see some of the detail. This obviously has all the tracks on it. The other side of the tracks are kind of plain, which is okay. I like it that way. But you've got that frame, you've got kind of the front and backs of the sides of the hull. You've got the top, the ramp. These look like the side doors. That's where the last cannons are going to go. So overall, pretty cool. Again, I really like the fact that you know, this comes in the starter box set. Very cool. I guess there must be a frame with las cannons. I don't see the las cannons on here. So yeah. Alright, so that is, I think that's all the plastic we're going to take a close look at. Obviously we saw it all when we opened the box. I'm going to go ahead and build some of the Mark 6 Marines and compare them to other Mark 6 Marines in my collection, so you can kind of get a idea of what the new guys look like. Alright, I have a little comparison here. I tried to dig out as many different kind of beaky Marines that I had in my collection, so I found a few to kind of compare to this new Age of Darkness Mark 6 Marine. So we can see, we'll start here on the left. We've got a classic Marine from the original Rogue Trader plastic box set, the very first one, and you can see how tiny he is, how he's squatting down. Then you have a kind of a metal Marine from around the same time period, or maybe a little bit later, but anyway, so these models are, you know, 30 years old, maybe something like that. Crazy. Then I have a plastic Marine in from a more recent box set. So that's kind of your traditional tactical Marine body. And then this is a Forge World Mark 6 Marine, and then you have two of the new Marines from this Age of Darkness set. So you can kind of see the difference. So they're kind of tall. But you know, I like the proportions. I liked the proportions of the Forge World one, and that's you know, I'm not sure which one I like better. These boys are definitely chunkier. You know, they got more heft to them. These you know, these Forge World ones look to be almost the same height, maybe a tad bit shorter, you know, just a touch bit shorter. But they're also thinner. You know, they skipped out on leg day apparently. But I'm not sure which one I like. I'm sure these will grow on me though. I do like them. I do think they're very cool, and they build quite well. They fall together really well. So let's take a look at those. We'll do a nice panning shot, and then let's compare the Mark 6 to other marks of armor. Next up, we've got a Mark 4 Marine, a Mark 3 Marine, and then the Mark 6s, and then a Primaris Marine over here, so you can kind of see the size. So the Mark 6s, thankfully, are not Primaris size. They are a little bit smaller. But you'll notice they are taller than these previous marks of Horus Heresy armor. The Mark 3, that doesn't look too bad compared to each other. I think that looks pretty close. If we look like backpack to backpack, those backpacks are almost at the same exact height, which is pretty good. Now the Mark 4 guy, he looks a little bit shorter. And if we go back to back, you can kind of see where those backpacks are, and you know, give you a little indication there on size. So, you know, the Mark 4 guys sadly are a little bit smaller. Maybe they put all the short guys in Mark 4 armor and the taller guys in Mark 6 armor. I don't think you'll notice it if you run them as separate units, like you have a unit of these guys and a unit of these guys and a unit of those guys. I don't think it'll be noticeable, but it might be noticeable if you mix them all together, the same marks, Mark 4s in with Mark 6s together. You might notice the height difference a little bit more. Either way, it's pretty minuscule, so I don't think you're really gonna lose much sleep over it. Your mileage may vary, but you know, that's my thought anyway. So I like that. Overall, pretty pleased with these guys for sure. Well, there you have it for now. That's my unboxing and kind of first look at the Warhammer Horus Heresy Age of Darkness box set. So final thoughts. A couple things are kind of bouncing through my head. First, let's discuss the price. I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. $300 is quite a significant investment for anyone. And you know, you're gonna either be attracted to Horus Heresy because of the setting. You might be attracted to this Horus Heresy box set because of the value in the box. And it's kind of funny to say that it's a good value at $300, but when you consider Games Workshop's current pricing and you consider what's in the box, it's a pretty significant savings, particularly when you compare it to some of the more recent releases that GW has done lately. So what I mean by that is that the Spartan tank by itself as a kit's probably going to run around $100 or more. It's a big tank. The Dreadnought itself might be $40 or $50. A squad of 20 guys might be $50 or $60. You can kind of see how quickly that adds up. This rulebook by itself is probably going to be a $50 rulebook, if not more. The individual characters, you guys know how GW prices their characters. Maybe you don't, but you might spend $30 on a single character. So you can imagine when you put all that together that this box set is quite a savings. I think that a lot of this could apply to 40K if you're a 40K player and just want to start with Space Marines or expand your Space Marine force. This might be a great way to do it if you're not interested in Primaris, which is like the current cool kid on the block for Space Marines. But as far as 30k players, it's a great starting set, especially if you didn't pick up the Betrayal at Calth or the Burning of Prospero box sets. This is just a fantastic way to get in, and it could be something like they show in the back of the box, a way to split it with a friend. Then you're only spending $150. And there's plenty of miniatures in here to split and still have fun, still have a fun battle, and still have a good starting place. Or just keep it all to yourself and you've got already a really good sized army in 30k. So overall, I'm impressed with the box set. I'm impressed with the value that GW offers the 30k players, and I know this is probably a loss leader for them, that they're going to get you down the road with all the cool, more expensive kits. But as far as it goes, you know, this box is fun, and theoretically, this is all you need if you wanted to. You don't need anything else if you're going to be just playing with this contents. Everything is in the box and in the rules that you need, so that is you know, that is a plus as well. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please do give me a like and subscribe. Click that bell to receive notification when we release new content. As always, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.